Hey everyone, welcome to the second ever emergency stream on this channel. We did the last one for Candyman 2021 and I am beyond relieved to tell you that this was nothing like Candyman 2021. Nothing at all. We're going to do this as a spoiler-free section. We've got it nice and marked there on the ticker so no one's going to be alarmed, and then we'll go into the gory details later and make it clear when we're doing that as well. So it should be absolutely fine. If you don't want to be spoiled for Halloween Kills, you're going to be absolutely fine. Now we've got an odd setup here. It is, as with previous emergency streams, it's just me and Wholesome Waifu here.
Hi.
So we're sharing the mic. As I said last time, it's not a Norman Bates situation. Don't think about that too hard, chat. Just move on. Just wink at the camera and move on. But if you could let us know, is the audio okay? Chat, can you hear us? We're waiting for your sign of approval. And I suppose while we're waiting for that audio check to come in, one thing I will do is, get another bit of news up there. Because while I was out watching Halloween Kills, something kind of weird, kind of wonderful happened. We got our 1,000 subscribers.
Boom.
We've been working on this quite a while. Quite a lot of slaving away in Premiere Pro. And
you say we've been working at this. I've just been sitting in the background watching her spend weekends on Premiere and getting up at 5 a.m. to edit and streaming until the wee hours of the morning. Spoilers, I'm actually Super Nanny.
Oh, this is some background lore coming out. You did do some of the singing when I've done the musical numbers. Not to grass you up or anything.
No one needed to remember that.
Oh, well, I like it. I'm proud of it. So, chat, how are we doing? Audio is fine? Audio is fine, I think. Okay, brilliant. Then we are good to go ahead. We will start covering some of what was in Halloween Kills. And when I say spoiler-free section, what I mean by that is that we are not going to cover anything that was not covered in the trailer. So that's where I draw the line for spoilers. If you count what was in the trailer as spoilers,
we can't help you.
We can't help you. I don't really know what to say about that.
To be fair, most trailers at this point are 80% of the films that they're trailing, so...
Yeah, special shout out to the trailer for The Black Phone that went out recently. I don't know if you guys saw that. That is another Blumhouse production, directed by Scott Derrickson, who did Doctor Strange. And what was that really forgettable one with Eric Bana? It had like an evil tiger in it. He was researching possession.
Troy?
No.
That's the only film I know that has Eric Bana in, so you're asking the wrong girl here.
Don't worry about it. Okay. Yeah, Scott Derrickson.
Evil, I'm now going to be thinking about Life of Pi?
No, it was a horror film.
With an evil tiger?
We actually gave up on it because it was so bad.
Oh, Jesus. Any other details? Sorry, we're pausing the emergency stream while I figure out what film this was.
He might have been a detective and he went into the zoo and there was an evil tiger. And people are getting possessed. And it might have been...
Oh, God!
Yeah, that one.
Oh, geez, that was... Yeah.
No, not Hulk. This is recent.
Okay,
folks, I'm pleading to you. Scott Derrickson, look at what he's directed. Get it in chat. I need to know. This is going to drive me mad.
There was a zoo, yeah.
Yeah, there was a zoo. It was an evil tiger.
Oh, man.
This is going to...
Halloween Kills was better than that film.
Yeah, definitely. Tell you what, let's move on. Let's get on to not quite the film yet. We're still spoiler-free. We're going to go for something that happened before the film even came out, actually. Because I thought it was kind of lovely. And it was this. This is Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, of course, at the premiere. And people turned up to the premiere in costume. And here she is as Marion Crane in Psycho. And for people, I'm sure most people will be aware of this. But the fun detail is that Jamie Lee Curtis is actually Janet Leigh's daughter in real life. So this is a lovely tribute.
Yeah, it is rather sweet. I mean, it's not quite as good a tribute as my favourite Halloween film, which is H2O, the best sequel.
Yes, H20.
Which has, I call it H2O, sod that, which actually has Janet Leigh in, which is rather lovely.
Yeah, there is a beautiful moment in Halloween H20 or H2O. I think no one's sure.
H2O.
No one's ever sure.
With the beautiful Josh Hartnett.
Oh, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Oh, yeah.
No.
No? Okay. Niche tastes, maybe. Niche tastes. Yeah, and you have a wonderful scene in that where Janet Leigh and Jamie Lee Curtis are together. They share a lovely little scene. Janet Leigh is her boss, and she goes off to leave, and she's actually got Janet Leigh goes off to leave, and she's actually got the car from Psycho behind her. And just for a moment, the score goes into repeating Bernard Herrmann's score from Psycho, and it is so cute. It is lovely. And I was enjoying that already, and then we watched The Fog recently, and it's Janet Leigh and Jamie Lee Curtis again. Had you forgotten? No?
When did you say recently? That was like 3 years ago that we watched it, wasn't it?
Oh, no, it was like a couple of months ago we watched The Fog. You're thinking of The Mist.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. But
Is
yeah,
this whole stream just going to be you referencing films at me and me squinting awkwardly into the distance?
Yeah, I'm giving chat a chance to get in. I'm maybe, guys, maybe I'm not totally as focused as I should be. I'm a little bit happy about the 1,000 subs.
Fair enough.
I'm just a little chuffed. There's my boy Harry in the chat, and that crime guy, co-hosts and partners in crime on the double feature horror show every Tuesday.
You two are to blame for this.
Hey, Yiz, good seeing you. And Judgmental Cat, I saw you say you were 999th. Thank you so much. That there isn't a 1,000th sub without the 999th. I had to stop for a second. Okay, folks, shall we actually talk about some Halloween kills?
I think we probably should.
All right, lovely. So as I said, this is going to be spoiler free. So forgive us if we get a little bit vague. All the gory details are coming soon.
And forgive me if I start coughing up a lung halfway through. I've just come out the other side of a very unpleasant cold. It's a virus that woke up and chose violence. So.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so what might you be concerned about? Basically, I just want to, in this section, give you the motivation to know, should you go and see this film? Is this worth your time? I'm going to basically say yes if you like the Halloween movies. That is hopefully not as useless as it sounds.
Hello, British Knight. I have a fan.
Wait. Yeah, I think there's a chicken fan community, and I think there's going to be a based waifu fan community.
I'm okay with this. .jpg.
It might. Judgmental Cat. It might be Jim Caviezel, and not Eric Bana. I may have got them confused. Anyway,
you don't watch the film. If you do, work out what it is.
It's really bugging me. How many films are there with evil tigers, like Jungle Book and this?
And it's not the Jungle Book.
It's not no.
Anyway.
I mean, there were 3 films with evil deer. There's only 2 with an evil tiger. I should be able to get this, right?
What's the ones with the evil deer?
Oh, so Train to Busan.
Yep.
Ring 2.
Haven't seen.
Yeah, you'll be all right. You don't need to add that to your personal canon. And Evil Dead 2.
Oh,
I bet there are people in chat going, Evil Dead 2! Evil Dead 2! Of course, Evil Dead 2, guys. Here, I'm a professional here. I didn't forget about that one.
Cool. So we keep distracting each other. This is why Super Nanny keeps throwing lotion down the pit.
I have made a special Super Nanny, but I'm saving it for Tuesday. It is very good. I know some people in this chat will love Tuesday's Super Nanny. Right, so good things to lay out for Halloween kills. The title is weird and terrible. Don't let that put you off. The gore level is considerably up.
Oh, there were some beautifully nasty moments. Properly had me sort of trying not to close my eyes because I was enjoying the film so much I didn't want to miss it, but I was kind of like squinting to try and avoid the gore.
Yeah.
It was impressive.
Yeah, Halloween 2018. Fez, do zombie tigers count as evil tigers? I mean, you must be thinking of Army of the Dead.
It was not Army of the Dead.
It wasn't Army of the Dead. And I don't know if that was really evil, you know. It had its own motivations. That's a judgment call. That's a tough one. Okay. So, yeah, Halloween 2018, which this is a direct sequel to, and that in its own turn is a direct sequel only to the original Halloween, and this is an important thing we'll get back to. Halloween 2018 got very gory, but it took a long time to get there, and I think it still even held out quite a bit. There was a head stomping in Halloween 2018, and they don't show you everything. They do kind of hold back on it, and they did not hold back here.
Oh no!
Like genuinely from the get-go, it is very gory there, and it kind of helps you feel like this would be really good just back to back, because this isn't a spoiler. It's the same night. It's direct continuation. So characters who weren't there for the finale of Halloween 2018, you just pick up with them immediately, and
still in their Halloween costumes, which is quite a nice touch.
Yes, yeah, that's an interesting touch. So I would say it probably is worth it rewatching Halloween 2018 to refresh your memory. But to be honest, it's not essential.
Yeah, it kind of fills in a bit of the details. I sort of wish I had rewatched it sometime in the last year or so, just to kind of have it slightly fresh from my mind. But I sort of managed to piece everything together as we went, so I got there in the end.
Yeah, there's just a few like, oh, who's this guy? Moments.
Why is this person wearing a skirt? Oh, that's why.
Yeah. Oh no, that stuck in my head.
I've got an eye for them.
And yet, while they didn't really give you a recap of Halloween 2018, weirdly, they gave you a recap of Halloween 1978.
And weirdly, Halloween 2, 1978, which they've yeeted from the canon.
Yes. So that is in an interesting section. So this was in the trailer, not spoiling. One of the big motifs of Halloween Kills that actually got me really excited for it is that they were going to shake things up. They were going to stick with the action from Halloween 2018, not cut away and let everything calm down. They were right back in the thick of it. And what they were going to do was have a lot of returning characters from the original Halloween, now as adults, and, 50 years older adults at that.
40 years older.
40 years old.
I did spend a lot of time in the cinema doing the maths in my head, because in my head it was 50 years ago.
No, you're right.
I got this the other day when I told people that you're in your 40s.
Yes, preempting that a bit. We have got some time.
Not much longer.
Oh, gosh. People are still looking for the possessed. It's Tiger King. It's ruining it. You're going to look up Evil Tiger. You're just going to see that darn Netflix show. Right Honourable Fez, it was not burning bright. Look up what Scott Derrickson has directed. That's the biggest clue I can think of for working out what this darn Evil Tiger film is.
Anyone joining this stream after the first 2 minutes is going to be very confused by the whole tiger subplot we've got going on. We've got like an A plot for the stream and a B plot for the stream.
I think it's helpful.
Gatsby will add a C plot with his confusing motivation and loud screaming.
He is going to come in and scream. I just know it. So where were we? Yes, so you've got returning characters from the original who were kids and are now adults. Even people who were like, it's kind of odd because relatively they're quite small roles. So the nurse who Michael steals a car from is back. And it's like, okay, that's kind of nice. It seems maybe a little excessive to try and bring her back, but it's kind of fun. Feels like maybe I could say so. But they do some good stuff with this Maverick. They do.
I'm trying to remember, does the film open in the bar or with the chap on the phone?
It opens,
and hopefully that was vague enough.
Yeah. It opens with current year and a character still in costume from the first film.
He's walking along by a fence on the phone.
Yes,
there we go.
And then we can't say the next thing without spoilers, but we go to the bar next and we get a big reintroduction of all these characters. It is kind of shoehorned in to make sure you know who these people are. They even flash back and use the old what am I saying? They have to sort of tell you who these characters and actors are, and they even use the archival footage. It does look a little weird, but it's not too bad. Oh, the stream didn't start for you. No, it's fine. It's fine.
You're now going to hear some confusing things about tigers.
Yeah, sorry, Maverick Hunter. Forgive us for the evil tiger stuff. I'm thinking about that. No, we're not going to get distracted. This is all in the tiger's plan, leading us astray. But I guess
I'm just going to leave the dead air there.
Okay. I've got a good segue. It's like from sheer Khan to the sheer carnage in Halloween. Oh no. That was a pun too far. She's gone. Oh dear. I couldn't help it though. Anyway, so we get the reintroduction. They also do a sneaky, weird recap of the original film, which is like, you're in the sequel to the sequel, and you recapped the original in the first. Like, what are you? If you're not aware of Halloween now, like, oh, Fez, deliver us from evil. It might be that. I'm gonna have to confirm this later. We're gonna have to drop the evil tiger. This will capture the whole stream, darn it. Okay.
And this is why Super Nanny loses every time.
Yeah, so it is a tiny bit weird to see a recap within the second sequel to the film. Like, I think you can get over it.
I feel like at this point you should probably trust that people are along for the ride.
Yeah, definitely.
Particularly given how much emphasis has been in the marketing on, like, Michael's back and we're following up with Halloween and this is like the response to, like, they've absolutely rammed it down our throats for 2018 that it was, a follow-up to the original. So it's like, you don't, like, trust your audience. If they haven't seen the original, they're probably going to want to after seeing this film. And also if they haven't seen the original,
the absolute state of them.
Yeah. Disgusting.
Absolute disavow. Anyway, so as well as that, one of the big plot lines is that there is going to be a vigilante mob. They are going to take the fight to Michael. Now that really interested me. It's not entirely original within the Halloween series. There is a vigilante mob that forms in Halloween 4, but very little is done with it, and it's not particularly satisfactory.
Also, don't watch Halloween 4.
Halloween 4 is a very interesting film. It's like, our take on that was it had all the right ingredients and it bungled it, That crime guy, was there CGI? Not noticeably. I don't think there was any. And we know that John Carpenter was fairly actively involved in these, much more than he had to be, We know he did new music for this, and he was, I believe, a bit active in the plot line. So I imagine his stipulation against CGI would hold out.
Is he not a fan of CGI?
No, he's very determined not to use it, bless him. I did not notice any digital blood. Now, maybe they've got really good at it, but I didn't notice it, and it usually sticks out with me. Once you notice digital blood, you're seeing it forever.
Yeah, I mean, I think I didn't sort of notice anything that hugely stuck out as an obvious physical effect in contrast. It didn't, how sometimes you can sort of see, oh yes, no, they've done that with a physical thing.
Yeah.
And it can be a bit jarring in the same way that bad CGI is jarring. Basically, everything to me felt so seamless that I didn't really notice either way, which is probably a good thing.
And that helped get some big gasp moments. Like,
properly shrieked at one point.
it is very gory, and some of them are very effective. You got to jump in the chair and a gasp from me, folks. And I'm a
She has no soul.
Yeah, I'm a total gorehound. Since we mentioned John Carpenter's involvement, one of the things I did want to mention, oh my gosh, the music is amazing.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's so good.
It's got a much stronger presence in the film. It's louder. It's much more obvious, but it is such high quality. Yeah, honestly, I was loving it. I think I'm going to probably listen to the soundtrack just on its own. Yes, yeah, Judgmental Cat, you've got it. That was it. Deliver Us from Evil. That is it.
Don't watch it. For all that we've been banging on about it because it's been stuck in our heads, do not watch that film for the sake of your sanity.
That is the one. Well done, guys. We can rest. We can sleep well tonight.
I can't sleep knowing that monster is alive in this world.
It's very rare we don't get through a film.
That and Knock Knock, but Knock Knock I couldn't finish because I was too traumatized. That one I couldn't finish because I was too annoyed.
Yeah,
I'm still annoyed just thinking about it.
Yeah, so guys, the music is absolutely incredible. Obviously, Carpenter did the music for Halloween 2018 as well, and there was some nice bits in there, like when they redid the original titles looking like they were in the original film, so it looks kind of dated. They bring the music in. Oh, I got a good feeling off that. They do that again here, but it's even better. I
would say the music isn't quite as iconic as like the original 78, but I think almost partly because it was, you could definitely feel that there was budget behind this. There was more of an orchestral score as well as the kind of iconic synth twinkling. But that sort of orchestral aspect, it was beautiful music, really well done and really kind of fitted the film, but it just didn't quite didn't quite have that same
word.
Yeah, didn't have that same word.
Well, it was building off the original, obviously. It does have the piano music, and it does lots of variations on it with the synths as well. Something they bring in, as you said, the orchestral. I got a big sort of Candyman original soundtrack vibe. The way they use some sort of choral chanting. That was really lovely. So it's just absolutely beautiful soundtrack. I'm not sure if the music is in the trailer. I don't remember. But as I was saying, that was really good. I thought the use of a vigilante mob. I mean, people have taken the fight to Michael before. At the end of H20, that happens. But that's not a full mob. So this was interesting. And after you watch Halloween, Halloween 2018, I basically thought, well, where'd you go from here? And this is sort of a problem I have with Michael Myers generally, is it's a very obvious decision to make him more of an absence of a character, a sort of abyss.
The Shape.
Yeah, so when he's got the mask on, he is just credited as the Shape. So yeah, that's a good point. And the whole idea of staring into the abyss is very prominent in this movie, without going into details. But there is a sort of thing like, how do you build a film around a character who's effectively an emptiness? And this idea of the vigilante mob is going to actively hunt him down, that got me really excited. I wouldn't say it was perfectly used, but it was very interesting. It kept the pace up, and it added a certain amount of pathos to it, actually. And I worried about sort of what kind of messaging, what sort of political implications might be in there. We'll save that for the spoiler section, but
there were some implications.
I will say it's not what I worried it would be.
It's definitely not as bad as I thought it would be, following on from Halloween 2018.
They did drop quite a bit in that one, but I mean, still, this is on a level. We're not talking the sort of megaphone in your ear for the messaging that we got from Black Christmas, Candyman 2021, or my new favourite awful movie, Wrong Turn 2021.
Oh God.
That was you were going to say turn it off, and I was like, no, we've got to stick through this. This is so terrible. We have to finish it.
So there are two horror films that I've started wanting to turn off from about 20 minutes in. The first is the one I always come back to as a suggestion for people who think they like tough horror, and it's À l'intérieur, or Inside, which is a French extreme film about a pregnant woman under some very extreme threat. And from about 20 minutes in, the tension was so high that I was sort of crawling backwards in the chair and begging Chloe to turn it off, but she didn't. Wrong Turn 2021, from about 20 minutes in, I was so annoyed I was close to booting the TV out the window. Alas, we stuck it out.
Angry Green Boss. So the messaging that was referenced in some of the promotion was that the idea was they were going to try and do a bit of a Me Too thing, that it was the Halloween for the Me Too era. And it ended up, okay, yes, that's cool. I hope you enjoy it and come back for the spoiler section. But thanks for all your help promoting the channel. I know you're active in trying to get people to watch the stuff and sub, so it's really appreciated. So Angry Green Boss, yeah, they were trying to make it a Me Too thing. They explicitly referenced Time's Up, which is sort of a sister movement to Me Too. And there were just a couple of it was framed as sort of a trauma thing related to that, to try and emphasize that theme. And there were also just a couple of decisions that were a little, how can I say, they stood up as, just woke sprinkles. So one of the things is there's a father and son driving along in a pickup when they initially see the transport from the mental facility has crashed on the side of the road. And it's a little thing like the boy who's about 13 says, like, Dad, I'm gonna miss dance class.
Oh God!
And it was like, why did you have to drop that in? So, but it's not too on the nose, to be honest. It's just you can see it. I was worried they would go very heavy-handed with this. They didn't. So this is good. There are a few more of those Netflix flavor sprinkles, but to be honest, they don't ruin it at all. They're just kind of funny. As long as it's not like very strong in the message of the film, I look at these moments and I just go like, oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, so we'll move on from that and we'll just say...
I think the one other thing to mention...
What else did you want to cover?
In that section, I don't know if we really dwelt on the two things, the ending and the canon.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so shall we do the canon first?
Yeah, because one of the things I found very interesting, and I'll try and do this vaguely in this section. So obviously most people know that Halloween is one of those slashers that Scream ended up mocking in the 90s because it had endless sequels that get progressively weirder and weirder. I'm told at one point there are druids. So it's, it's just one of those kind of film franchises that just gets bizarrer, more bizarre. And then in 2018, Halloween 2018, they just took it straight back and essentially within the film, within the script, said, we're essentially following directly on from the very first film. Nothing else is canon. So erased all those other films, including Halloween 2, which the original Halloween 2 follows again directly on from the events of that first film. It's literally kind of as if you look up, the very first film, 78 film, ends with Loomis looking out the window and Myers has disappeared, and the second film starts with following Myers wreaking a path of destruction through Haddonfield,
which is a sequence that they did in Halloween 2018, and it was very good. It was one of the best bits in that movie.
Yeah, and there were lots of moments in this that felt like they were kind of echoing things that had come from particularly the second Halloween film, or bits where I thought they were referencing characters who I thought had appeared in the second film but obviously hadn't.
Yeah, I mean, this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. again, I'm going to assume that you have seen Halloween 2018. Okay, that is the assumption. Obviously, Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis got very roughed up in that film, and was rather notably stabbed, and thrown out a window. That was obviously an inversion of what had happened in the original Halloween. Michael being shot and thrown out the window. These kind of parallels were one of the nice touches in it. Now, as this is a direct carry-on, Laurie needs to be in hospital, so it naturally ends up mirroring Halloween to a certain amount.
Yeah.
But obviously not entirely. There are fresh elements like the vigilante mob and Laurie's family doing their own thing. I'm keeping this as spoiler-free as I can.
Yeah, but it just felt like, sort of similarly with 2018, they used the fact that their viewers, they assume, would at least know of the franchise and have a sense of Michael Myers as a horror staple, to really ramp up the fear around him. So this whole town gets completely on edge, and to the point that they form a mob to go after this guy. Whereas I think, if you look at it from the canon that they've recreated, he had only killed 3 people in total, which, still quite bad, but not ideal, not sort of ideal citizenship, but the whole town is somehow sort of completely traumatized by the guy.
Yeah, this is one of my complaints about Halloween 2018 was
Yeah.
the idea that Laurie Strode becomes a sort of shut-away survivor, gun nut after this one night, and Michael has this reputation after that one night, and on some level the film is relying on you knowing that the other films happened and emotionally carrying that over. So it's kind of filching from the canon that it has disavowed.
Yeah, well, sort of winking at us and going, yeah, pretend that that's still there, but also forget it, which feels like cheating to me.
Yeah. And there was a little bit of that in this as well, but not as much.
Yeah.
But it was still there, the reputation of Michael. It's a bit more defensible because we've had Halloween 2018, but there was okay, I'm going to be a bit oblique here. The comments made by a member of the Strode family right at the end about Michael are also comments that I feel are feeding off the canon that is technically disavowed. I see you nod, so you know what I mean there. It's not something that can be easily derived from only the events of Halloween and Halloween 2018.
Yeah.
I hope that didn't spoil anything, guys. Forgive us being a little oblique about this. We sort of have to be to keep it spoiler-free.
If you stick around, we'll get well into the weeds in probably another couple of minutes. We can move on.
Yeah, just another couple of minutes. I guess the only thing I really want to talk about is the ending.
Yeah.
Which
again, spoiler-free.
It's keeping it spoiler-free just on the response to it. It's a good ending. It is satisfying. It goes very visceral, and it moves into a sort of abstract section that I quite liked. I thought it shook things up and looked beautiful.
It definitely looked beautiful. I found for me it sort of took me out of the action, and it had built up some beautiful tension by that point, and I feel like that moment it didn't do what I was expecting, and I can get into that in the non-spoiler section, but it also sort of making it so abstract kind of took me out of what had been happening, and I sort of found myself stepping away. And I felt like the film, certainly towards the start, did that a bit as well. There was lots of chopping and changing between locations and different groups of characters.
Yes.
And I felt like it would sort of build you up to a point where you were feeling quite tense and quite invested, and suddenly change to a totally different, it would be tonally very different, as well as kind of in a different place with different people. So it felt like they kept, and there were a few moments where there were sort of odd little bits that clearly the film sort of wanted you to laugh at. And I think that's probably an observation on horror more generally, I think, at the moment, is it feels like horror is afraid to make us afraid. It loves the old jump scares, but it doesn't, directors don't seem to, either, unless I'm just, broken inside and haven't got a soul anymore. But it just feels like horror films at the moment aren't good at sustaining the tension, cranking up the tension, making you feel that horrible feeling of I can't look away, but I want to turn the TV off. I'm sort of stuck with this. That a film like It Follows did brilliantly, for example.
Yeah, it's that sustained horror versus build the tension up and dispel it with a joke, or dispel it with a sort of
A
jump scare cattle prod horror, as Mark Commode calls it.
Yeah.
See, we say nice things about Mark Commode sometimes on this channel. We really do.
But yeah, so I feel like there are a few moments in this film where it did do that a bit, and I think definitely the ending did that a bit for me. But I think it was quite beautiful. And I think it did. I'm very interested to see where the third one goes with the ending as they've set it up.
Yeah. Still staying spoiler free. There was a character who I expected to have an active role in the finale who didn't. And I felt a little bit shortchanged, but then I realized actually there's a good reason for that character to have stayed out of the action, because as we knew going into this, exactly as you say, Angry Green Boss, yeah, there's going to be a third film.
Is it going to be called Halloween Ends?
Yes, it will be Halloween Ends. This was confirmed once they got to do Halloween 2018. We get Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends, which means you have to explain that Halloween Kills is a sequel to Halloween and Halloween, which it doesn't roll off the tongue, does it?
No, you sound like you've got lost in the middle of that sentence.
Yeah. So there is going to be a third film, Halloween Ends, and whilst I found this ending very satisfying, I am absolutely racking my brains for what the heck they are going to do in the third one.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, I suppose most slashers have that problem, because they comprehensively and violently kill the evil guy, and then somehow Jason always rocks up where you least expect him. Never quite gets to Manhattan.
Well, yeah, but in this one they did not, drown Michael in a lake near a big electric cable. So
that's true.
I don't know, man. And the teenagers of Haddonfield, noticeably less horny. So I don't see any weird incidents.
They're definitely more inclusive, though.
Certainly. Okay, and I'll drop one other thing. I really liked the casting. I liked how everyone looked like regular citizens.
Yeah, there was one guy in it that we realised afterwards was actually also in Midnight Mass.
Oh, yeah, we can say who that is. Yeah, Robert Longstreet, a veteran of Mike Flanagan stuff. He didn't get much to do in House on Haunted Hill. He makes a lot of use of what he did.
Do you mean Haunting of Hill House?
Darn it. Haunting of Hill House is exactly what I mean.
Oh, was he the caretaker guy?
Yeah, he was a caretaker, Mr. Dudley. He got a small amount to do, and what he did worked well. But in Midnight Mass, Robert Longstreet as Joe, surname, the town drunk with the lovely dog, really gets to shine, and he's amazing. And he turns up in this without a beard.
That was what threw me off.
Yeah, it's a lack of a beard threw me off, but he's really good in this. Okay, and with that done, guys, I think we're about to go into the spoiler section.
I'll leave you to ad-lib while I go and get some wine.
Lovely. Okay.
And cough up a lung.
Okay, folks, so I'm seeing some interesting suggestions here for new... Yeah, I would have liked Halloween All Hallows Eve. That would have been good. Who said that? Okay, I'm going to take a moment while we switch over. I'll answer any other questions you have got here. We're going to go into the spoiler section now. Oh, gosh. Thoughts on Sarlo? I saw that. Hey, Fez. I haven't seen it. I have seen one film about the Marquis de Sade, and that was Quills, which I remember has Joaquin Phoenix in it and Kate Winslet doing her thing. I really enjoyed Quills. I had it on VHS, and I think I watched about 3 times in a weekend. It's a weird little film. It's got some nasty stuff in it, but it was very interesting. Quills. It had Jeffrey Rush as the Marquis de Sade.
Ooh,
yeah.
Sounds hot.
Yeah. We need wine details. What wine is that?
It's a Pinot Grigio. It was £8 from the co-op. Apparently has pear and hazelnut notes. We're doing Sober October brilliantly.
Well, it's a 1,000 subs. I figured let's take a little break. Hey, Mitch, how you doing, man? Yeah, okay, that crime guy. No worries. Thank you, man. Thank you for promoting. Really appreciate it. It's awesome. So, anyone who doesn't want to be spoiled, we are going to start spoiling the film. Not every detail. We're only going to do about an extra half hour, I think.
So,
But we'll talk about things in a bit more depth.
so if you don't want spoilers, sort of.
All right. Oh, he's learning. Cheers. See, you host 32 shows with me, and slowly that Baden-Württemberg Deutsch starts slipping in, and then
Proper German waifu. Not waifu, yokel.
yeah.
Mitch, good luck with that. You can't tell when she's drunk. She's decades of teenage alcoholism. Decades of teenageism. You can mask it pretty well.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I was only a teenager for 1 decade.
Weak. All right, do you reckon we've blathered enough to get people to...
Fez is just going to give away the plot. I mean, we're not going to give absolutely every detail away, but I'll talk about how the film handled some things.
We're not going to do a Harry in 3-minute summary on it.
Yeah, we can't do the 3-minute summary without Harry in, it just wouldn't feel right. Also, I need to eat. So let's talk about one of the things that was actually okay. See it. Last chance. We're spoiling now.
Spoilers.
And in fact, by spoiling this, we are following in the glorious tradition of Jamie Lee Curtis, who spoiled this herself a few days before the film released.
Jamie.
Yeah. So I see people are dipping out. Well done. It's absolutely fine, guys. See the film. We recommend this film.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Unlike previous emergency streams and Drag Race, we recommend.
Yeah, I should probably have made clear. You should definitely, if you are interested in Halloween, see this film. It is better than Halloween 2018 by quite a considerable margin, I would say.
And it's infinitely better than Candyman 2021.
Yeah, I got a lot of trouble for saying that Halloween 2018 was kind of meh. This I really liked. I had a great time with.
Yeah, I actually leaned over to her halfway through and sort of whispered, Is this actually good?
Yes.
And it is.
Yeah.
Much like a film we saw yesterday on Netflix called The Right. If any of you have Netflix, watch The Right. Yeah.
Anyway. Angry Green Boss, yes. And I'll be honest, I probably still think Halloween H20 is better.
Oh, yeah.
I have a soft spot for it. LL Cool J is hilarious. He's
to be
great.
fair, you mainly have a soft spot for Josh Hartnett, but...
It's true. I do have a weakness. Okay, guys, right. So back on track. Jamie Lee Curtis herself dropped a massive spoiler bomb when she talked about one of the best things in the film, the flashback sequence. This is an hour and 45 minutes roughly, and they spend a decent amount of time early on in the film in a flashback to the events of 1978. So that is pretty cool. It's incredibly well done. The younger versions of characters who are still alive look great. There is a reappearance by Dr. Loomis that made me so happy.
Yeah.
When they initially had someone voicing him, it was far too Cockney, I'm going to be honest.
Oh, was that in 2018 or was it
earlier? No, in this. So you hear a voiceover of Dr. Loomis, and it
slightly fooled me.
It's a bit too Cockney, but they get it right later, and we are a long, long way from when what's the name? Oliver Reed was digitally recreated in Gladiator. We are a long, long way from that. Do we get the Donald? Yeah, we get the Donald. Donald Pleasance himself. And he looks great.
Is it actually him?
Oh, no, he's been dead for a long time.
Slashers love to bring up dead bodies.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's like... Now, don't quote me on this, guys. My memory is that he was rather ill whilst he was making Halloween 6 and may have died in production.
Oh, gosh.
So I'm not certain about that. I think they did have to film around it. But don't quote me. They recreate him. It looks amazing. It's very full of pathos. You're just realizing that was a recreation, aren't you?
Jesus, I thought. Sorry, family friendly stream. I thought that was him.
Jesus is very family friendly.
It's true. I thought I just assumed that was sort of archive footage, and they'd carefully spliced it together from other clips from previous films.
No, I mean,
So him at the bottom of the stairs.
That's a digital. Well, I mean, it's using archival footage but recreating it because they have to map that onto a new actor. Yeah. Guys, you can't see this, but there's like a stunned look as this is dropped.
Cogs in my brain are breaking right now. That's incredible.
It's really well done. It's an absolute treat for fans. The fact that we can do this now and kind of like revisit events of the first film from a different angle.
Oh,
it's beautiful. It's a real treat. It was kind of an amazing experience.
Yeah, as I say, I just assumed that they'd taken bits from, say, Halloween 2 and plunked them back in, but with a different context.
Yeah, and it was a very good way of making you care about some of the original actors. And by this, I mean like members of the police. They get them back, and it's just kind of lovely, to be honest.
Yeah, like is it Hawkins?
It's Hawkins, yeah. And so this is someone you wouldn't particularly think of in the original. It's not someone who's going to be at the forefront of your mind, but by showing some of the events from the 1978 Halloween from their perspective, it genuinely worked for making me care about what they were doing. Now, this did cause one big problem for me. This took me out of the movie for just a few minutes. And that is because during the flashback, I mean, I'm not going to give big details away. I'll just say there were things happening during the flashback that made me pause and say, well, hang on. No, how does that work? Because from what I remember from Halloween 2, blah, 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 and then I had to mentally reset after a few minutes ago, like, oh, hang on. No.
Halloween 2 does not exist.
Yeah, Halloween 2 is not canon for this movie.
Halloween 2 is not the droid you're looking for.
So that is tricky. That is rather tricky.
British Knight, that is a very accurate depiction of what just happened in my brain.
Yeah. I mean, you should see him. I was like, oh gosh, dead air if I don't talk, because she's there like, oh gosh. Right.
Absolutely hadn't realised.
Yeah. So the having to remember which canon you're in, again, it causes some confusion. I can understand why they did it, but that sort of thing does confuse you because my brain has to whir a bit while I remember, well, hang on, but did that thing that is very relevant occur or not?
Yeah, I definitely had that. So there were a few moments, like, for example, the beginning of Halloween 2 from the 80s or 70s is, is that iconic scene with Michael kind of stalking down a sort of alleyway and then into someone's, like, a house of just two people having a quiet evening by themselves and Jen just stabbing them. And there were some nice symmetries in this where neighbours of Laurie Strode's are just having a nice evening, minding their own business. It's quite sweet. One of them comes downstairs and is like, hey, let's have a glass of Beaujolais. And it's rather cute and cozy. And then Michael stabs them. But it was, again, it felt quite similar in tone of, like, this poor elderly couple just suddenly being killed for absolutely no reason. And I liked that this film did that from, it slightly jarred for me in a way because they'd done something quite tension building at the start and then suddenly we were seeing this couple who were quite adorable and quite funny. So it sort of broke the tension, but at the same time very much humanized them as victims.
Yeah, we do jump from present day to flashback to a sort of lower stakes scene in a bar where we're reintroduced to the original characters from the first film. So it's like the kids, Tommy Doyle, who obviously interesting history in the rest of the Halloween canon, but that doesn't happen now. So we only know him as a young boy and now a sort of beefy older chap.
I'm thinking of Tommy from Friday the 13th.
That's Tommy Jarvis, I think. And this was bugging me as well. I was like, wait, are they both Tommy Doyle? Yeah. This is the kind of thing that goes through my head. So yeah, that's a little tricky in the setup because they are carrying directly on from the last film with no pause. So dropping the sort of momentum to do this sort of introduction, it's a struggle, but I think they generally pull it off. And they do then move into the big scene that we got from the trailer, the Michael just absolutely wrecking a fire crew.
Oh, that was totally unrealistic, but brilliant.
Oh yeah, it's a total set piece. You saw it in the trailer, so I don't feel bad talking about it.
He's basically got Jedi powers.
It's very well done. People conveniently attack one by one, but it's quite interesting that the fire crew are very ready to just throw down.
Yeah, there's a brilliant moment where he comes out of the sort of walking out this blazing building, which is just a beautiful shot, and you can sort of see people going, "What the?" and sort of clearly have quickly pieced together that if someone's walking out of that fire alive when they've just heard the screams of their co-workers dying, that this probably isn't a great guy. And so one of them just sort of, I don't know whether it's a buzzsaw, I think.
Yeah,
he just yanks the petrol.
Yeah, he
chain.
revs up this massive buzzsaw, maybe giving you a bit of Army of the Dead flashbacks, except it actually gets used. Damn, I'm annoyed by Army of the Dead. Anyway, yeah, I will point out something that occurs over and over again is that there is a bit of horror film logic that people tend to attack Michael one by one, which is kind of convenient. There's a certain amount of, if they aren't in frame, don't think about what they're doing. It's quite obvious at a couple of points, but generally it's very well handled.
Yeah, it's better handled than some films, I think. It definitely isn't at the level of, I think it's a Star Wars film where you see one guy fighting with himself in the background.
Oh, yes. Classic.
It's not quite that level.
Yeah.
But it is a bit, there are a few moments where it's just like, come on, guys, if you all rushed him.
Yeah, seriously.
But never mind.
My theory is that some of those shots were framed to remind you of My Bloody Valentine. And it was a bit gorgeous, all the sort of pickaxe through the visor thing. It looked really, really good.
Is My Bloody Valentine the one with the drill through the hot tub? Not the hot
no,
tub,
that's Valentine. My Bloody Valentine is the one with the miners and the guy. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, streams with me are basically you mentioning a film and me trying to piece together when we saw it. Or not in the case of Do Unto Others or whatever that film was called.
Deliver Us from
Evil
Tigers.
Deliver Us from Evil Tigers. It's an unusual verse in the Bible.
Yeah. So there is carnage. There's some horror film logic. Guns are largely useless in this film. People don't fire guns until they are easily within smacking out of the hand train.
That was a thing that annoyed me so much.
Go on.
Okay, it's spoilers. It's near the finale. They've ended up back at Michael's house, so back at the house where it all began, which is where they've worked out is where he's basically like a homing pigeon with knives, and he's gone back there, and the main young female protagonist and her boyfriend have decided, for reasons, that they can take on Michael, so they're back there too. And her boyfriend gets Michael'd, and he's sort of been beaten up and he's lying on the floor, and she sort of tries to take on Michael in a bit of like girl power and ends up being thrown down the stairs and breaking her leg, which is satisfying. And then the boyfriend is kind of like, oh no, Michael's heading for my girlfriend. I need to save her. He's literally got a knife
in
his hand.
Yeah.
And he's standing right by, he's lying right by Michael's legs. So he could easily just, slice his Achilles tendon or, stab him, knock him. Literally could do anything with it. He drops the knife, picks up a gun, and in trying to fire it, gives Michael, A, attracts Michael's attention to him, and B, gives Michael enough time while he's fumbling with this and failing to shoot in the right direction to get sort of Michael'd in the face. I'm using Michael as a verb now.
That's fine. There's plenty of Michaeling.
Yes, people get vigorously mic'd. And it's just so there were a fair few times where people were like, I have a knife. But what if instead of using this highly effective short-range weapon at this assailant who is within stabbing distance of me, I faffed around with a gun that I'm not good at using and miss? Although it was used to beautiful effect in a few occasions.
There was it's just part of the horror film logic, basically. Is you don't want people using ballistics. You want melee weapons as much as possible.
Oh, hello, Scrump.
Oh, we got Scrump in there.
Yes.
Oh, it's Scrump Lad. I guess I need to say it. Ooh, hello, Daddy Scrump. Please don't clip that. All right.
Can someone get me in touch with a good divorce?
No.
The inevitable divorce jokes. It's been 55 minutes and I haven't made a divorce joke yet. I feel the need to.
Everyone loves a Scrump man. How you doing, Starman? Anyway, so
Angry Green Bosses, right? Guns, particularly like they've got some pretty hefty guns in this film.
Well, ooh, good. Actually, I want to keep this up because this is interesting. In terms of horror film logic, that it didn't bother me much whilst I was watching it. Towards the end, it did start to rankle a bit. It was niggling me a tad. There was a smidge of annoyance emanating from the fact that mobile phones stopped existing.
Oh, that's a good point.
So let's talk.
Oh, good lord, I hadn't even noticed.
Let's talk about the well, let's talk about how that mob works out, because this is something that was in the trailer. It's a major thing in it. They really wanted you to focus on the mob. And I'll be honest, I was concerned about this because I thought the messaging of this one would be go riot for good causes. And
yes. Burn down cities to stop the evil man with a very pale face that happens to be a mask.
How can I say? You could easily read into what Michael represents. I don't think that's hugely there.
Thankfully.
And the mob, it's actually handled with a lot more nuance than I thought it would be. The mob is shown to be sometimes necessary but not perfect. It's a heck of a lot better than in Halloween 4, where the vigilante mob is not only ineffective but deleterious and makes things worse. In this one, the mob has good intentions, but things can go wrong, and yet ultimately they aren't immediately chucked aside once they make a mistake.
Yes.
So I liked that.
Yeah, I felt like it was quite a subtle handling of it.
If I can, like, there was good, brief, not like painful, it felt quite natural discussion of like, you have to leave it to the system. Yeah, well, the system didn't work, so now what? And I quite like that. And that is actually very much in key with a general vibe in horror films. You do not leave it to the cops. You have to do it yourself.
Yep.
And I think that's part of what makes horror films so appealing.
It thrills my little libertarian heart.
Yes. So it's the messaging is not the one way we thought it would be. There is a little bit of framing that is how can I say is some of the framing and who is focused on is made to appeal to the more mainstream narrative.
Yeah.
But it's not completely over the top.
Yes, it's quite a nice.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely, if you're looking out for a particular agenda, you can find it. But it was quite nicely balanced. The cops weren't all bad and they weren't all useless.
Yeah, this is not Candyman.
Yes. The cops were neither bad nor useless 100%. They were doing their best. They were also trying to keep control of a very volatile situation.
I should take that off so people can see we're in the spoiler section.
Spoilers!
Guys, we are spoiling the film at this point.
But hopefully still encouraging you to go and see it, even if I'm...
Oh yeah, totally go and see it.
Yeah. But yeah, so like the mob section I found, like, particularly when it was really... So they start rampaging around a hospital after someone who they sort of decide is Michael Myers. And it felt very clumsy, I suppose.
It's a bit clumsy, yeah. They are, but at least I'm going to be honest. Even if it's clumsy, it's not the standard slasher stuff, and that for that alone, I am grateful.
Yeah, this definitely wasn't a slasher film.
No. Now there are two other problems with the mob that I'll discuss. And again, we're not trying to like lay out the full plot, but we're able to talk with a few more details that will maybe rob a few surprises from you.
Can I talk about the gay interior design at some
Oh
point?
yeah, we'll talk about that after this. So one of them is you've got this vigilante mob. It's current day. Mobile phones were all over the place in Halloween 2018. The mob could have and would have coordinated via mobile phones. It's like there's a bit where a small group of the mob are at one point to confront Michael, and it's like, call for backup, gosh darn it.
Yes.
You know each other, you have the numbers, call for backup, say he's here.
Yeah, it's been established that you're all friends at the very least. Sorry.
So that is frustrating. Mobile phones stop existing in Halloween Kills for convenience. And the other thing is that one of the ways they try and I am going to go quite into one minor plot detail here. One of the things they try and do to show you that actually, guys, vigilante mobs aren't perfect is they have them go, they point out in the news that there are two people who escaped from the mental institution. One of them is our good friend Michael Myers, and the other one is a schlubby guy who
short, fat,
maybe into some kind of, I don't know, bit of an anime watcher. I don't know. I couldn't tell. We didn't see all that much of that person. But anyway, definitely not someone you mistake for Michael Myers. Now, there's the obvious, the vigilante mob goes for the wrong guy bit, and it's meant to be tragic. And in fact, you even have a main character trying to help this poor person who I was sat there just thinking is escaped from a
sort of
prison
secure psychiatric unit. So forensically, mentally, like for people who are so disturbed that they are mentally a danger to society.
Yeah. So this guy looks super dysgenic. Edward Dutton would be, downing shots and, very dishonest chin, if you know what I mean. So this guy this guy does not look wholesome. And one of our characters, to show how good she is, goes out of the way to help this guy. And I'm like, you don't know how many kids this guy's nonced. He was in a secure psychiatric unit where they put Michael Myers. Do you think this is a good guy? Do you think he was just on stress leave from work? Do you think he was sorting out his agoraphobia? This guy is dodgy as hell. And you're like, so I just had a slight problem with this that we're trying to, like, there's no way this guy hasn't been on Crime Watch with a special. That crime guy has probably covered this absolute nonce,
Yeah.
So it's just kind of weird to make us try and go like, oh no, this poor guy. It's like, nah, come on, man.
Yeah, it just felt very odd. It felt like in any other film he'd have been the villain.
Yeah, totally.
And he sort of looked it as well. But
my sympathies did not fly to this individual, and I immediately started asking questions when they were trying to make me feel bad for the dude.
Yeah, it's like any other situation, where the mob goes after the wrong guy, you could probably get a lot of sympathy. Like they did in Halloween 4, there's a mob forms to go after Michael Myers, and they kill someone who is dressed up as Michael Myers for a Halloween prank. They could have gone down that route again. It's quite a good route. It could have been quite compelling.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh crap, we killed a teenager. That could have been done brilliantly. But this time they're like, what about if we picked an escapee from someone who's basically in prison and criminally insane? I felt a bit sorry for him to an extent. But it was also just...
It's not ideal, but I mean, come on. This guy ain't a Girl Scout.
Yeah, it more bothered me just because they were like the people who were leading the mob going, that's him, it's got to be him, were people who'd actually survived interactions with Myers, like literally in the previous film. I think Laurie Strode, wasn't she one of the first people to say that might be him?
No, she's saying it's not. But the thing is, the people leading the mob have just spoken to someone who has been attacked by him. They, like, you're telling me they didn't get any details of what Michael Myers looks like?
Well, you know what the police are like about not giving clear descriptions after crimes.
London man on the... Anyway, so, yes, moving off that, it's a weak point in the plotting. I didn't like it, but it doesn't really ruin what is very much an interesting idea. Shall we cover some of the woke stuff quickly?
Yes, I would like to start with my favourite bit of woke stuff, which was actually, so in the spirit of kind of humanising the victims, which this film does, I think,
Very well.
brilliantly.
Very well. These are not Friday the 13th disposable teenagers.
Yeah. These are productive members of society. You first have got the quite adorable couple, there's a mixed race couple at the start, who's sort of elderly and just having a nice glass of Beaujolais, and then they get stabbed with a...
They had booze all over their house, and I thought the set designers done a really good job. Like the way the guy talked about the wine, and then the fact that they had booze absolutely everywhere. I was like, oh, okay, I know who these people are.
Yeah, it was brilliant. You would get a sense of the couple and their relationship and their humour, and it was just lovely. There's another couple of victims who we spend a bit more time with because they actually happen to live in Myers' old childhood home. And it's a gay couple called Big John and Little John. And Schnurr. And unlike, there were elements of humour.
Did you notice it wasn't based on height?
Madam. There were elements of humour, like, for example, when they realise that there's an intruder in their house, they each go to grab knives, and one of them goes, I've got a knife, and he's got a tiny little one. And the one called Little John goes, and I've got a knife, and has got a much bigger knife. That sort of thing. But there was, unlike a lot of sort of parachuted in gays to fulfill a sort of 21st century vibe, these felt like a genuine couple.
Yeah, I liked them.
Yeah, there was like one guy starts off listening to a record and wanting to get a bit spooky for Halloween, and he's sort of cut downstairs to his husband who's just preparing a nice charcuterie board. And it was very like, I could see the two of us doing that in about 30 years' time.
Yeah, I got those vibes, so they were nice.
Also, the house, I mean, just to fulfill one stereotype they had lived up to, was a beautifully decorated house. I want to know the number of their interior designer, because, oh my gosh, the shelving and the paint colours.
There was a certain stereotype which is earned.
Yes, it's beautiful. But yeah, I really liked that. That didn't feel parachuted in.
Yeah, the bit that annoyed me in the woke washing was a sort of deliberate. There's a couple, a straight couple, and they're a doctor and a nurse, and you'll never guess which one's which. But then they really amp it up. So like the guy is absolutely useless with a gun, whereas his missus is all like, oh yeah, it's absolutely fine, or I know how to use these. She's also one of the people who sort of disappears out of frame, so you don't need to worry what she's doing whilst other people have been killed.
That's a fair point. She disappeared and her husband and someone else got murdered, and then suddenly she's back and shot. And you're like, what were you doing? You had a gun in your hand.
Yes, that was slightly badly done, I've got to say, but yeah, that was the most obvious bit, to be honest. Again, these are the things I sort of describe as like Netflix sprinkles. Like, it hasn't taken over the film in any way. It's just very clear that maybe there were a few notes going around in production, like put this in. It's not really that bad, to be honest.
Do you want to talk about the skirt?
Oh gosh. Okay, so this is one of the bits of continuation from the last film.
Fans of femboys will be very pleased.
It was a thing I remembered from the first film. I was like, did you have to? So the teen couple, Laurie Strode's granddaughter and her boyfriend go as Bonnie and Clyde. But who's going to be Bonnie? Who's going to be Clyde? Well, yeah. As we're directly... this guy was actually written out of Halloween via a really awkward way just to get him out of the action. And so this one starts with him back, and he's still wearing a skirt from the last film.
Which sort of makes sense, if he's just left the party.
Yeah, but he gets to change his top.
Yeah, someone brings him a hoodie, but they don't think to bring him maybe jeans or some trainers.
Maybe he's into it.
I mean...
It's fine.
He looks all right in drag.
Because he's got the pins for it, you know.
He'd
But
pass well if he put some slap on.
I don't feel they were doing a thing with that. It was more like a continuity thing they were locked into, but
Yeah.
they certainly didn't get out of it when they had the opportunity to.
Another thing that moderately annoyed me about that is I'm pretty sure at various moments you see him running, and in the type of skirt he was wearing, how could he, like, the seams would be ripping left, right, and centre in a pencil skirt like that.
Yeah, he would not have been able to run. It was not practical. So that's a woke stuff. It's not a woke movie. There are some sprinkles. They don't ruin it.
They don't ram it down your throat.
Just, when you see this stuff, point and laugh. And be like, ha! Anyway, so I guess the next thing I really want to just get onto is one other questions. Oh, actually, should we talk about Laurie a bit?
Yeah.
Maybe?
It looked for a while like it was going to be the easiest, however much she earned for this film, that she'd ever earned. Because she starts off, you see her being rushed to hospital because she's been stabbed and thrown through a window, and then she has an abdominal operation, and then spends the first part of the film essentially unconscious. And for a while, I thought she was going to spend most of it just sort of unconscious and recovering.
Which is, of course, what happened in Halloween 2.
That's where I saw the parallels.
Yeah. Well, definitely. It's inevitable. She's in hospital spoilers, guys, she's in the hospital for basically the entire film. And I wanted her to have a confrontation with Michael in this. She doesn't. And I thought, on reflection, actually, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
They're saving it. They're saving the Laurie Michael final confrontation for the next film.
And to be fair, I'm like Halloween 2018, I was not really invested in seeing this film. I only basically went along to see it with you today because you needed a lift.
True.
And I'm really glad I did. I'm now really excited for Halloween Ends.
Yeah, I think this idea of redoing a franchise and actually planning it so that you have a good arc. This is positive. Taking time to plan a 3-film arc and do something detailed, planned, and momentous. This is a really positive movement for horror. So I'm okay with it. Maybe the Hellraiser reboot can learn from this.
Is there going to be a Hellraiser reboot?
Yeah. I mean, they've gender swapped Pinhead, so I don't have high hopes on this one. But in fairness,
does Pinhead even have a gender? Or would you describe them as non-binary?
Oh, don't. Look, I'm...
Non-pinnery?
Oh, get out. So, look, I mean, whatever they do, can you make it worse than Halloween 3?
No. Well, I mean, Halloween 4 is worse than Halloween 3. That's a nuance of language I didn't know, Angry Green Boss.
I'm lost. What does that mean?
I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, that Americans say the hospital. So, like, we're going to the hospital.
Or as we say, go to hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah. Sorry about that. We've been fairly cogent, haven't we? We universal English. We haven't referred to most of the cast as codgers or fogies.
Those old chaps. Gosh.
Anyway.
Well, you see, that spiffing young filly, Laurie Strode, does spend most of the action in hospital. Yeah. She's feeling rather under the weather, old chap.
Yeah. So interesting parallels. Yeah, Fez remembers. You remember Hellraiser 3. You don't forget it, do you?
I don't think I've seen Hellraiser 3.
Yeah, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. Hellraiser 1 and 2, that's where the gold is. No further, right? Anyway.
It's a shame they never carried on with that series past the second one. I feel like it had some potential.
Oh, no, if only, eh? So, where were we? They don't have a confrontation. It's fine. They're saving that confrontation between Laurie and Michael for the finale. I hope they do something interesting because, they've made her still quite a badass, but it's a bit amped up from the last one, but I kind of like it and I can believe it because she's felt vindicated. She was like 39 years. She was like a crazy person obsessed with the events of 1978 and people thought she was off her rocker. Then she was vindicated in Halloween 2018 because Michael came back and was a threat again. So I can understand her actually being even more pumped, even more how would you say hardcore, basically. Yeah. It works, and Jamie Lee Curtis absolutely sells it.
I mean, I will say that the best Halloween film, H20,
yeah,
I feel covers trauma or gives her a more believable kind
definitely
of traumatic response.
If only because H20 has Halloween 2 as canon as well.
Yeah. So H20, she's responded to the trauma by trying to get as far away from Haddonfield as she can. She's an alcoholic. She's trying to cope with sort of repressed memories and sort of flashbacks and things. And she's had more encounters, canonically more encounters with Michael to make her understandably more scared and ramp up that post-traumatic stress disorder. Whereas Halloween 2018, yes, she went through a very hard time, but she, her response is to go full prepper, fill her house with traps. I'm sure there are some who think that's a good lifestyle choice, but
I know some people here have filled their house with traps.
It seemed a bit odd, and it was the 70s. She was probably on acid. It's true.
She did smoke weed in Halloween, actually. You see her smoking it in her friend's car. Little known detail.
But yes, it did feel. But this one, it felt like, as you say, they had kind of her character. Jamie Lee Curtis had clearly kind of got full conviction to the character. So it felt like her character made a lot more sense in this film than she did in the first one, honestly.
Yes, definitely.
The first recent one.
Yeah. And so let's get to that ending. The violent mob. Ignoring chat. The violent mob eventually do manage to meet Michael. It is satisfying. It is a very good scene. There's some lovely stuff of Michael without the mask, shot very well, and in keeping with the new style. That just looks great. Just looks really nice.
What's a whiff?
I believe it would be a toque, as our friends across the pond call it. But do correct me if I'm wrong there, Angry Green Boss. But of course, as you know, if you've watched any of these movies and knowing that there is a follow-on, you know the mob is not really going to finish Michael off. But trust me, it is an enjoyable scene. I thought maybe they might try the Halloween 4 transference of the Myers curse thing. But I guess that is dead. They're not doing that because that way lies druids, maybe.
Oh gosh, yes, no, we don't want to bring the druids back.
I mean, that series has done druids twice.
Okay, we need to watch both the druid.
Halloween 3. The Silver Shamrock Company was using magical stones from like Stonehenge to power the...
Bloody hell, so they were. No, those aren't druids though, because they didn't have any blokes in robes with scythes.
Oh, come on.
Unless you've got a bloke in a robe with a scythe, you haven't got a druid.
Oh, you're very hard.
I did Latin GCSE, gosh darn it. I translated passages about the druids.
You're very harsh on the druish question.
Madam, Caecilius est in horto.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that... So, there's this glorious bit where, he's... Waman has pulled Michael Myers' mask off and uses that as bait to sort of...
Well, maybe let's not give everything away. Okay. Let's just say, like, the mob scene is satisfying.
Yes, it's satisfying. They beat him down, and then suddenly he kind of... It's almost like a sort of Matrix-esque scene where you think your hero's dead, and suddenly he discovers hidden reserves of murder.
It's shot very differently, more abstractly, and they end up talking about Michael and what he represents more during that, and it's an interesting way of shooting it, and it's just nice because it is a change from what you usually see, and I appreciate it on that level. But we ultimately end with sort of very big consequences from that. We're talking major characters dying, which is a good way of making it hit home. Also, a heckload of extras just getting absolutely yeeted.
Some bloke who was just there in his pyjamas with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Those looked like really cozy pyjamas.
Oof. And I guess from what it tells us in this film about Michael, I enjoyed it, but I do come out of it thinking, I had a good time in this. What the heck are they going to do for 100 minutes in Halloween Ends? And I'm scratching my noggin, trying to work it out.
Are they going to bait Michael into a cage and have him cage fight with Laurie Strode 1-to-1? Is it going to be Tekken with kitchen knives?
Well, I'm going to take a prediction without going too far into specific details, because I think hopefully we're not saying anything that ruins the film for you.
Apart from that bit where I just went highly specific. Sorry, chaps.
Well, it's something people would know and would be able to predict, to be honest. Keeping it vague, Michael gets to basically where he wants to be, and we're told that's the place he wants to be, and it kind of looks like he's finished his arc and he's done what he wants to do. So the idea of what he would do in Halloween Ends, I just don't know. Personally, if I were screenwriting, I would think this would be one of those, we need to go somewhere to find some secret knowledge that will really help us defeat him, because brute force won't do it. So I would guess they might go back to the Smith Grove Sanitarium. That's what I'd probably do if I was a screenwriter.
Yeah, that might be it. The other thing they could potentially do, I guess, is more flashbacks, a bit more kind of let's explore his
I would welcome
psychiatric case history.
Yeah, well, that's what I would think, is flashbacks, and try and go. There'd be maybe something Dr. Loomis learned. That's what I would do, but I've got no idea how they're going to write themselves out of this, to be honest.
It is an interesting one. We had a really sort of powerful monologue from Laurie at the end, which, again, feels like it borrowed a lot from canon that no longer exists.
Yeah, that was a bit we're talking about. There's them talking about what Michael represents in a way that really is, it just sort of, it's subtly leeching off the knowledge that you have seen the other films, and it really just kind of, there's a secret knowledge. It's sort of relying on you mentally knowing this stuff that you can't really know.
I mean, it could do a sort of Fear Street thing of flashing back, way back, to do a bit more of an explanation or something.
What are we going to do if it's druids?
I, for one, welcome our druidic overlords.
What are we going to do if it's evil tigers?
Walk out.
Fair enough. Well, that is pretty much everything I think we wanted to cover in this.
As you said, Chloe, we were only streaming for just over an hour.
Oh, well, I was trying to mentally get in under an hour and 30. Basically, the TLDR, guys, is if like me, you maybe weren't super fond of Halloween 2018, and you're like, okay.
Give this a
This
watch.
is better. The music is absolutely brilliant. Just, you know what, listen to the soundtrack of this, and that should get you a little pumped for seeing this. There are some great scenes. There are some good scares. Horror movie logic is present, but it does not ruin the film. But it's obvious enough that maybe you take it down a couple of points.
I'd give it a solid sort of 7.5 out of 10.
Out of 10? What channel do you think you're on?
Beg your pardon, 7.5 out of 12.3.
Ooh. Yeah, it's in a cinema. I'll give it the 1 point boost for being in a cinema.
Although we were sat under a spotlight, so it wasn't fully dark.
Yeah, it was weirdly light in the cinema. That annoyed me.
I was offended.
Yeah. 8?
Yeah, 8 burgers.
I give it an 8 out of 12. But that is carrying the 1 point bonus for being in a cinema. It's a variation on the... Yeah, Fez, we always score out of burgers. It is the you know this.
I don't think
Oh
I've
gosh
mentioned
darn
burgers.
it. No, I misread the comment. Yeah. That's
Burgers?
Stone Toss Burgers.
Burgers?
Damn it. Oh, sorry. Boomer moment. Boomers?
She is nearly 40.
Ugh. So yeah, it's about an 8 for me if you see it in the cinema. It is nice and atmospheric.
I'd add maybe some slightly soft pickles, but no cheese.
Oh, it's got yeah. There's there's only a tiny bit of cheese on it, but it's definitely got the pickles and the spicy sauce. And yeah, maybe one slice of cheese, Fez. To be honest,
It's got a bloke in a skirt.
There are a couple of bits where you're meant to have a bit of a laugh. And also, this film is very woke on the kids are awful little bastards question.
Oh gosh, yeah, there are some properly nasty kids.
But this is a Halloween tradition. The Halloween series always has evil kids in it.
Thankfully, they get killed.
Yes. Oh yeah, this eats kids, by the way, which is always good. So I'm probably going to... Oh, that's awesome. That's going on screen. Yes.
Oh.
Yep, so it's a positive from me. This is a massive improvement on Halloween 2018. Characters make a lot more sense, and it's better soundtrack, better gore, really sort of wince-inducing gore, if you like that.
Oh, yeah, properly awful moments.
And I thought just some really good scares, actually, that I just didn't have in Halloween 2018 at all. This got me jumping. So,
yeah, the one thing I would like it to have done is just sustain the tension a bit longer in some of those moments where they were doing so well at building up. There were a few times where they really did, and they just sat with it. And then there were a few other times where they'd done quite a good job of just cranking up the tension, and then were like, and throw in a laugh.
Yeah, they did. I think they did back out at a certain point. Okay, see, I'm seeing Fez there. You're going to watch. I think you should enjoy it. If you like a Halloween movie, this is a very good one.
Hopefully we haven't given away too many details.
Yeah, I'd like to think we've kept
Jamie Lee Curtis herself.
Yeah, oh gosh, imagine absolute boomer moment just splashing the flashback sequences. Gosh darn. Yeah. All right, so I am going to leave it there, I reckon, guys. Thanks for watching the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this helped you decide whether or not to watch Halloween Kills. We are going to be doing another emergency stream this month, because who would imagine that October would be a busy month for a horror channel?
Who'd have thought?
Yeah, who could have seen that coming? Next one is going to be on the 29th of October. That is for Last Night in Soho.
Oh, that looks so good.
Yeah, directed by Edgar Wright. That's going to be good. No, we haven't done a slasher arc yet. We've got I think it's 3 arcs are confirmed to come up. So the thing is, we might do a slasher arc, but before that, what I would want to do, I know it's a bit of a cliche, is I would want to do the 1960s pre-slashers. So Psycho, Peeping Tom, and so on. Black Christmas, or no, I know that's 1974. And I'd want to do the Giallo. I messed that up. Giallo films as well, so that you have the 2 sets of influences. I'd probably have to get something like M in as well, and Night of the Hunter. So there's kind of a bit I need to do before I move on to slasher arcs.
As I've said before in previous streams, she literally has a horror syllabus. So, you guys are getting the horror syllabus homework.
A hint? Yeah, I'll give you a hint, since you guys were lovely enough to come and watch the emergency stream. This is a bit off the wall, given that we just did the Jack the Ripper arc. But the next one is going to be that Crime Guy suggestion. We're going to do horror films with wrestlers in. So I know it sounds a bit off the wall, but it's going to be an interesting one. We're lightening the load, and then the arc after that is a lot heavier. Like I say, I like to take these little detours before we go on like big narrative paradigms. But I'm going to close this off now before we hit that 1 hour 30 mark. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed. I'm still absolutely over the moon to hit that 1,000 sub mark. Quick.
Cheers.
Yes. Oh, sound effects. Yeah, that was absolutely lovely to come back to. I just, I come out, I get back here after seeing Halloween Kills. I check that and it's like, oh, lovely.
Nice day.
Absolutely delightful. So yeah, plenty more going on the channel in this busy Halloween month. And the next thing going up is very likely going to be my review of episodes 5 and 6 of Midnight Mass.
And at some point you'll have to do the House of 1,000 Corpses stream.
Yes, the House of 1,000 Corpses stream. We're going to see if we can get Shrouded Hand on for that, as he's very welcome. I know he was keen on that. So I am going to leave it off there, folks. Yeah, thank you to everyone in chat, keeping it nice and lively. And thank you to Wholesome Waifu for joining me.
Oh,
gosh. Oh, no. All right, I'll leave it there, folks. Have good evenings. Thanks, y'all.
Cheers.